Okay, sorry, digital peeps. That video, the first part, I kind of wanted to, my camera only records like 29 minutes, so I have to make this a two-parter. Anyway, the very first, probably half of that first part of that video, I was rambling on about everything that was going on in my life, and then I started talking about about me a little bit, so we're going to get into more of it. So I'll tell you where I was before I got rudely cut off in the first part of the video. So anyway, so my dad, like I said, he was at a gig. He was fixing a light. This was back in March of '79. He then, my mom said, this girl said something sarcastic to him. And he had already been on the block with putting a ring on it with his ex. Let's just say that. She was kind of like saying it was either me or the music. And he chose the music over her. Let's just put it to you that way. That's all you got to know about that. And he then, my mom, and he couldn't figure out, like, well, she said, what? And my mom was with some girlfriends at a time, and they got it. But he didn't get it at first, and he was like, okay, now I got it. And so they were talking. He then, oh, I have to blow my nose, little peeps. So just give me a second. Thank you for letting me take that break a minute. So then, the following week, she couldn't wait to come back and see him again. He was in a band called Shaker. At the time, I talked about the guitar player that we know of. He played in this band. And so then they went to a movie. They went and they got pizza at this local pizza joint. And here we are. My mom and dad have known each other 40 years. They will be married 39 in August of this year. On the 17th. So there you go. Now, they were together about 4 or 5 months when he asked her to move in. She moved in. They were together 2 years. He puts a ring on it. And then 2 years after he puts a ring on it, they have little old me. And now we're going to get into me and my life. So, I kind of, the way I grew up and the way I developed was if it says, okay, if baby's supposed to do that in 2 months, I did it in 4 months. I was always playing catch up with my development. And even when I was about 2.5, they were telling my mother she needs to go get looked at. Now, we have a hospital here in Pittsburgh. It's called Western Psychiatric. Okay. And they have a child development department down there where they help children figure out what's mentally going on with them. And they were even telling my mom and dad, experts, I should say doctors and whatnot, had me checked out for hyperactivity back then. You know, because in the 80s we were just starting to learn about ADHD and ADD and all this. Never thinking in a million years it was going to be autism that I'd have. High-functioning autism. But more about that in a minute, digital peeps, because you're just like, whoa at this point. So we go through to about 87. The preschools I went to before, they tried to handle me. They really couldn't. They were telling my mother that something's definitely, she needs to get looked at by some therapists. My mom was like, oh, okay, this must be a concern, a worry. So 87 comes rolling around. I was about 4 years old. I get formally diagnosed with ADHD. Now, this is when they were first just learning about, it was first coming to light in the 80s and stuff. Not so much the 70s and 60s. That was more of a taboo thing. Autism was a taboo in the 70s and the 60s and all that. It was very taboo. It wasn't until the 90s when the whole autism thing started coming to light and things like that. We're still trying to figure out what causes it and everything, but, you know, it works. So, I go to a special preschool. It's for children who have developmental issues. It was called Peter's Childhood Development Center. It was at a church. So, and I remember going to this as a little kid. My memory started when I was about 4 years old. And so those were like my very first memories and such. Oh, took some of our audio tape. Sorry about that. You know, I kind of had fun. We used to get Swedish meatballs there, and I would always get mad when there wasn't enough meatballs. You know, like, you'd get, like, 4 meatballs, and it's like, well, they wouldn't give you any more than that. And I'm like, oh, come on, I want more meatballs, girl. Like, stuff like that, you know. So, and then I went to 2 years of kindergarten. Yes, I know that sounds shocking to little peeps. But I actually got held back in kindergarten, if you can believe that. My mom thought that I wasn't learning enough in kindergarten, and she felt, as the mother of me, and my father concluded that she needed another year of kindergarten just to make sure I was going to be ready and everything, which she's very happy that she did that. I would have been class of 01, now I'm class of 2002. When I graduated high school, digital peeps. Yes, I graduated high school with a learning disability, digital peeps. So then, I went to, and I always grew up knowing something. I always grew up different. Like, I always felt like I was different somehow. I didn't know how or why. And I always kind of felt as though, I was always treated differently than other children. But in my family, I was kept as a normal child as possible. It really wasn't until about 4th grade when I demanded answers as to what's going on with me and stuff that everything started to make sense for me. But we'll get to that in a second. So I would get on the bus. Kids would make fun of me. I got picked on when I was in elementary through middle school. When I got to high school, nobody didn't care. They just, you know, all that kind of stuff. They didn't care too much. Nobody bothered me. I was fine. I know in middle school, I got pushed down the stairs all because I got a chick out in dodgeball, and she'd been after me since like day one. And I'm like, girlfriend. I'm like, what is wrong with you? You know? And she goes, you're ugly. You're so stupid. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I just learn slower than other children do. And so I kind of just chalked it up to kids didn't know any better. The parents didn't teach them right. I forgave those people long ago for what they did. You know, it wasn't right. You know, I kind of looked at it as, you know, if you're a parent, teach your children to be respectful of other children. Don't make fun of them because they have a learning problem. You don't know what that child's going through. You know, yes, they may be a slow learner, but you shouldn't make fun of them for it. They will eventually catch up. And then I had this girl, she came down from New York. She had an accent, you know, like, oh my God. Oh my gosh, did you look? You know, like one of those accents. New Yorkers. You know, she was one of those kind of New York people. And her uncle or somebody had a family restaurant at the time. It's no longer in business, but she got wind of kids on the bus were talking behind her back. Or was saying to her that I was talking about her behind my back. And I don't do that. Girl code, don't do that. Like, you could say, like, did you see her early dress on yesterday, honey? Oh, that was ugly. Like, you could say that kind of stuff. But don't really, like, talk about you know, the person behind her back and stuff. And so she beat me up. I got punched in the cheek at first, and then I got punched in the eye. Was black and blue for a weekend or so. And when we talked to her relatives or whatever, they knew she was trouble. Her mother brought her down to kind of straighten her out. You know, it's like Will Smith thing, you know, Prince Bel-Air. You know, he was in trouble, and she brought him to teach him manners and stuff. And afterwards, she said, oh, no, it was I who started out. No, it was she who did it. She's the one who did it. And then that Monday after it happened on a Friday, and then the weekend came. And then Monday, when I was going to school, she actually approaches me, apologizes that she's sorry. She had heard that kids on the back of the bus were talking about her behind her back, or thought I was talking about her behind her back, and I wasn't. So, and how I felt different from there. Going back to when I got pushed out, it was two girls. One was a white girl, one was a black girl. We were playing dodgeball. She got me out, or I got her out at second base, and she goes, oh, that's it, bitch. And she just kept saying, and I said, shut up, you know, just talking about, you know, I use my words, you know, and I'm going up this one flight of stairs, and then there's like the flat pad, and then there's more steps, and then you go out. And we got to the flat part, and she goes, that's it, bitch. And we start having the struggle. She pushes me down the stairs. I tumbled down everything. I saw her and the other girl running and laughing after it happened. Like she had a good time with it. Funny enough, I don't know what happened to her after that incident. I know we went to school. Mom says I'll get my lawyer involved. School, as soon as you say that, schools get scared. They gave both girls 3 days suspension. They were going to suspend me, but I didn't do anything wrong, so she's like, no, she's alright. Fairly good kid, you know, I was kind of an ABC student. I think I may have only gotten like 1 D and 1 F in my life, and that was sometime in middle school, I think, if I'm correct. Those for something. I think it was something in math. I can't remember, but you know, I was an ABC student. I tried my hardest, you know, that kind of stuff. And then after that, girls never said anything to me again. They were just pissed off. I looked at it as kids didn't know any better. The only thing I had was a little bit of a sore hip for a few days, but other than that, I was fine. My mom wanted to take me to the hospital, but I was fine. I have nothing wrong with my head or anything like that. I got onto the bus, I started crying, people started noticing, and I just said, it's nothing, you know, and then when they heard what happened, they were like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I said, don't be, you don't need to be for me, you know, it's just the way of life. But when I first got to elementary school, it was called Centennial Elementary. Now it's no longer there anymore. They've now merged from K through 5 when the school used to be a K through 4. And then 5th grade, and then 5th grade was the middle school, which is 5 through 8 for me. And then I went to one building for 9th grade, and then the rest of the time I was at the other building for my high school stuff. But anyway, I then, when I went to, they were remodeling the school at the time. So our special ed things, I had to go have school on a trailer. So that's how I was different. Like, why can't I have school with the other kids? I'd had kids. When I was in elementary school, throw rocks at me, throw book bags at me. I would want to sit in the same, like, you know, seat buddy. And they're like, ew, get away from me, you're ugly. I'd get full eyes. I used to wear glasses back in the day. Those are the PEEPS. I don't anymore. I had crossed eyes when I was little. I had so many problems. Those were PEEPS. I had lots of surgeries. I had throat surgeries when I was little. I talked about it on my other channel. I had with a genie, big blue genie, from Aladdin that I love and adore. That I still sleep with. Hashtag don't judge. From what I've learned from the autistic doctor, lots of autistic kids, some, not all of them, they have something that they like to cuddle with or sleep with at night, and that's characteristic. That's fine. You know, he just sits at the end of my bed and he keeps me comfortable and all this kind of stuff. And he's old, but I love him. You know, he went to all my surgeries with me and stuff like that. I had tubes put in when I was little. I had my eyes. I had crossed eyes when I was little, and so I had surgery to correct that. So that's why I don't wear glasses anymore. 20/20 vision. I can actually see below 20/20 somewhat. I had speech problems when I was little. Like my palate, that little thing that hangs in the back, I was supposed to form like this. Well, mine was like this. When I got a lot of air come through when I talk, so I'd have the one surgery in 94. I grew out of that. I had one in 99, and then my last one was in 01. And there you go. And then we were, it was fairly okay, you know, growing up. You know, I mean, I was your typical 90s kid. And then when I got to middle school, you know, it was a little bit harder and challenging for me, but hey, that's fine. I've had, now we get to 2000, and, you know, I was a Girl Scout all my life, excuse me. I started when I was in first grade. Till I graduated high school, I got my Gold and Silver Award. My Silver Award was I did a craft video for the Brownies and Juniors of Southwestern Pennsylvania. And when I did the project, I had 10 crafts, and my leader's like, okay, you got to pare this down, do 5 for Junior, 5 for Brownie, right? Well, I cut it off, and when I looked at the first 5 that I had, the first half of that, they were all for Juniors, and the second half was all, Brownies, and then the second half was all for Juniors, and I'm like, oh my God, was that not divine intervention or what? So, it was like crap and stuff that you could buy at Michael's, Joanne Fabrics, that kind of stuff. And then we did that. And then, after that, I did my Gold Award, which I'll be making a video about later. I'll show you some of the stuff inside, give you a little more insight. But I did a readiness booklet for children who are going to go to kindergarten. Basically, essentially, reteaching all the skills that we learned in preschool, teaching those during the summer, and then you're off to kindergarten. And the whole story in Hot came was really fascinating and really was an aha moment for me. And I did those, and I had a learning disability, and I did it digitally. I'm actually 2 years learning disabled, if y'all didn't know that. So I'm 2 years behind people in terms of my learning. Now we're going to cut to 2018. Well, 2016. My mom wanted to try to get me Social Security money. So when we apply, when they say it's a long and lengthy process to happen, oh yeah, it is. So, and we appealed the decision because the first time when we went, I had an IQ test. They said, oh, nothing's wrong with you, blah, blah, blah. And we appealed. We had a lawyer that got involved. He was very helpful, very knowledgeable in the subject. And let me tell you, when you go for Social Security in front of a judge, oh, is that scary? I'd never been in front of any kind. I've been on police before, but never around a judge. You're like on a Skype, Polycom kind of thing. And the judge is all the way in Kansas City. That judge will either have a stenographer or there'll be one in the room. And the stenographer that we had was down where the judge was living at. And it was very scary, but I did it. And I got my Social Security money. So I get my monthly stuff. But anyway. So our lawyer was like, okay, I want you to go. I want you to get some medical info and then come call me. We were like, okay. So the first thing we did is we got another IQ test done. Correctly this time. Because, and I've had them done throughout my life. But this one, we went to a place in Fox Chapel that does them. It's near me. Fox Chapel is near, it's like around the Pittsburgh area per se. And the lady who did it took her time and all this kind of stuff with me, which is what I like. Because when I had it done for Social Security, the woman kind of basically rushed me through it, and I didn't like that at all. So my IQ, for those of you who don't know, is actually, it's the threshold, it's at 70. Anything below 70 or anything below 50 is considered mental R-word, if you know what I'm saying. You know, that kind of, you know the word I'm talking about. And so I'm at the threshold, I'm at 70. Now, I'm not that great at math. I'm not, and you're probably thinking to yourself, well, mkgtweety, why are you, why are you living in home and all this? Well, I'm not consistent in things. If I were to make you a pot roast 3 different times, sure, the 3 times would be great. Something would be off about the 3rd. So that's why when I want to do big cooking projects like that, I do it with my dad. Because my dad's a good cook, And she's like, okay, you can do it as long as you make it with daddy and be fine and all this kind of other stuff. So I'm not consistent in things. I might forget steps and things. So, like, if my mom says, okay, I want you to clean this first, and then after you clean it, I want you to do this and do that. And then it was like, okay, or I might forget to do something like that. But we'll get to more about that in a second. So then, after we got the IQ test, then we got an appointment. It's called the Wesley School of Autism. It's in Penn Hills, PA, which is near me. And it's in a church called St. Bartholomew. And a heavy accent and German doctor. After that appointment, she diagnoses and specializes in treating people that have autism and stuff. And we had this appointment combined with how I was as a child, especially a baby. Like, Mom said I used to take off my diaper all the time. My grandma, my dad's mother, thought that was like, the funniest thing ever, and it really isn't. If the baby does that once in a while, it's okay, but when they keep doing it, something's wrong, kind of thing. Then we have a problem, and so that was because I never really liked diapers. Something about it, like I have to wear my socks inside out. I hate that annoying seam. I hate wind chimes. Like, I love buying them from my mom, but this drive me crazy, kind of thing. The sound of them. And so we learned through the process that I'm actually a high-functioning autistic digital peeps. Oh my God. And I went home and I kind of looked up everything, and a lot of the stuff that they were talking about started making sense to me. I go, no, why the way I am now. Because my mom always said, no, it's more than the ADD, it's more than the ADHD. Example they gave, let's say a cop pulls you over, okay? And he says, okay, you gotta have license and registration. I might hear one of those things. I'm like, oh my God, that's me, because like my dad will say, I want coffee and a glass of water. Well, I'll give him the coffee and not the water, or I'll give him the water and not the coffee. Just like when things don't go my way, I throw hissy fits and stuff like that. I cry a lot, and stuff, and I'm just like, ugh. So my clock's gonna bing. It's gonna be 11 a.m. or 11 after the peeps. So please excuse the ding dongingness. And stuff like that. I'm the only one in my family that actually has a learning disability, if you can believe that. I never got treated any differently because of it. I'm here. When I went to high school, I got it. I was interested in children all through my life. I wanted to be a vet at one point. I wanted to be a singer at one point. And then when I found childcare, it was like, oh my God, I found my home. And so that's my clock. It's 11 a.m. digital peeps, where I live at, on the East Coast in Southwest Pennsylvania. So I went and I took 4 years of vocational childcare, and I did extremely well. So my goal is to be a preschool teacher someday. I love the preschoolers. It's just, I can't make friends very well. I don't pick up on social cues very well. I kind of have a big mouth. I ramble on and on and on and on and on sometimes. You might have seen that with some of my videos if you watch my other channel. Stuff like that. But yeah, I stand here today, and I know I don't look like I have high-functioning autism, but I do. It's all on the inside. And that and ADHD kind of have very similar symptoms. And so I still have that too. I was also put on Ritalin back in the day when I was in high school. About middle school. It was like towards the end. It was like spring of like 95 when I got put it on. And then I got taken off when I graduated high school because they thought it helped me better concentrate and all that stuff, but I don't want to do medication anymore. I know there's meds out there that have tons of side effects, and I choose to do it as a big girl now. But there we go. There is my life for you, digital peeps. There's all about mkgtweety I could give you in a video. If you like what you see, you can subscribe. If you want to see part 1 where I start rambling on about some stuff, about the beginning, and when I start telling the story towards the end of the video, you can do so. I'll put part 1 down there, and then part 1 will have a link to part 2 in there and that kind of stuff. But I'm going to go, digital peeps. I'm going to go do some stuff around my house. I hope you enjoyed this video. I actually did make a video about the high, when I first got diagnosed in 18. But now, since I don't have access to that channel anymore, I can't do that. Don't worry, the next video will be probably a St. Patty's Day craft. Don't know yet, but I'll smell you later, digital peeps. Bye! Love and lippy, digital peeps. Hope you enjoyed that all about me, digital peeps. Mwah.